Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, Leo King, here for Deep Astrology, your weekly astrology forecast for the week of July the 29th through August the 5th of 2020. Remember, say rabbit, rabbit on that August 1st. And this is, of course, the weekly astrology horoscope that is channeled to you, and we go deep into the charts. But make sure first that you are a member of highvibe.tv. This is where you get the show in its full exclusive form, and you can actually watch it as I do live stream this show, but only on highvibe.tv on our exclusive apps and platform, highvibe.tv. And that's the way that you can see the charts. And of course, if you're on YouTube, you'll get the charts, but you'll get it with just the audio version only. But at least the first part of the show, you do get with me here on video as I'm going to channel it to you. But I have a special event on Friday, the Battle of the Gods. It is truly going to be a Battle of the Gods. And if you don't know what that means, I mean, literally, that's a term that comes from the old days of that's the Battle of the Planets. And we are having the biggest battle we've ever seen in our life about to happen. And literally, it's starting on August 3rd. So Friday, I'm doing a special live event, which of course you can purchase at highvibe.tv, and I put it at really cheap price for people, and I'm going to spend a good 2 to 3 hours going through this Mars retrograde, these big massive squares to the biggest stellium we've ever seen in our lives of Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, especially in Capricorn. This is going to be very intense, and we're going to see long periods of Mars and Saturn squares, and we are going to see a lot to prepare for in your life. So this is going to be a preparation, and it's also going to be a helpful reminder of history and understanding why this is the Battle of the Gods. It's definitely going to be finding the positives, but also covering the truth and what to be prepared for. So make sure that you check it out. Go to highvibe.tv. It's going to be live on Friday. And of course, if you do purchase it and you happen to miss the live, which of course you can watch on your iPhone, you can watch on your Android on our own app, or you can watch on Apple TV or Roku, or you can watch on highvibe.tv, the website, and through your mobile browser, wherever. Or you can Chromecast it to your TV through our mobile browser, however you want to do it. Check it out, and it's super awesome as well, because if you can't make the live, of course, where I'm going to do a Q&A as well, you can actually watch it whenever, because it will just be, when it's done, you just log in and watch the video through highvibe.tv or any of our apps, which are free. So you don't have to pay for the app itself to download it and watch our free content or watch this show. Once you log in, if you just want to buy this video and you're not a member, you can watch that. It's awesome. Check it all out, highvibe.tv. Now that I got all that out of the way, of course, I'm here to channel the astrology for you, and then I'm going to go deep into the astrological charts for this week, and I'm getting phone calls and stuff. Somebody doesn't want this message out. Actually, that was an Aquarius that just called me too, right? Talk about alien energy that is going around right now. Everybody's talking about aliens. But I'm going to channel the astrology for you, and then we're going to go deep into the charts, which is brought to you by Astro Gold, which you can get on iOS, Android, or you can get it on any Mac device. And then if you are on PC, you can get it on Solar Fire. This week is the preparation for the Battle of the Gods, the battle of these planets of Mars and Aries, going to start its big squares to the Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto conjunction. This is a radical time in our lives right now, because it is a time where it is so important for us while we are in Leo, to get ready for this full moon energy in Aquarius square Uranus at the same time. So not only are we starting this big battle with Mars and all the Capricorn energy, that's so Mars and Aries and Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, right? All this intense energy that's so big planets, the two biggest planets, Jupiter, Saturn, with Pluto, the most extreme, exploding that energy, and they're all stopping in their retrograde, and it's so crazy that Mars is stopping, and they're just going to sit there and just look at each other in the big battle, while we have this full moon that's going to be in Aquarius square Uranus. So you want to talk about your world turning upside down and flip into a whole new direction that's better for you, Taurus, or are you going to just take the opposite road and not have a better life? I mean, this is going to be a big test week for you, and it's really about following your full heart. We're also seeing Venus, which has come out of its shadow, finally. Remember, Venus entered shadow around April 8th, April 9th, and now it is out of shadow. Remember, it went retrograde in May all the way to June 25th. So this has been a time with relationships and money. There's been Novocaine. There's been numbing out, because Neptune was in square to it, not only at the stationary retrograde, but also when it came out of shadow. And there's no more Novocaine on relationships, money situations, your self-worth project, and you got to figure things out fast, because where's Venus coming? Venus is going to come to the North Node that's in Gemini, and this is an intense transit of our destined position, but it also is a little bit harsh, especially if it is not the truth of the relationships you're in, if you're not stepping forward with your intellect and your mind about how to figure out your monetary positions, your self-worth, your projects, how you feel good about yourself, the feeling good, that's the self-worth energy. And I would say that's the number one thing that we are wanting to devour, is to feel something good in our lives again. And this is going to be a big call to action. Fast. Remember that Gemini is fast. It is so fast. That's not even all of it. I mean, that's what's so crazy about it. We got Mercury that's going to be in Cancer this week, going to be in opposition to Jupiter, going to be in opposition to Pluto, and oppose Saturn, and then come into Leo. Oh my gosh, boom! So this is Mercury fast. Remember, it just came out of shadow, so Mercury is full speed ahead. So at least we got the fastest planet going fast again. But it's got to come into some big oppositions, which are major decisions in your life about your personal life that you have to figure out. And so when you got that Venus out of shadow now, and it's quincunx to Jupiter and Pluto, and then it's going to come on top of the North Node to make a quincunx to Saturn, there is so much hitting that Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto. Not only Venus in a quincunx, which is an odd angle, and it is a little finicky because it is like you kind of have to figure things out in the weirdest ways, okay? Like really weird ways. And these weird ways are you in your truth about the money, the relationships, and the values of yourself to feel good? Are you ready to make big choices and just say no to this and yes to that? And, that's what's hard, is sometimes being in an air sign like Venus has been for so long, especially Gemini with the North Node here, it's like, are you just living it in your head? Are you not communicating? Or especially with Pluto, right? That's in quincunx. It's like, are you looking deep? Are you ready to express your deep truth? Then, of course, Mercury is in opposition to these three planets. So that's extreme, right? Because that's an opposition. Here we want to understand our personal lives, yet the only way we can do that is by making tough choices. Saturn and Capricorn, opening up doors only through closing doors, and with Pluto, closing extreme doors. That is massive transformation in order to open up to new ones. Then you've got Mars, which of course this week is going to finally, on the 3rd, start to square Jupiter. And now, even though Mars is, of course, not going as fast as Mercury, so by the time that we see Mercury starting to oppose Saturn and everything, and then come into Leo, right, by this end of this week that I'm covering, Mars is just dealing with Jupiter this week. But then, that's why I'm doing the Battle of the Gods, because that's the start. August 3rd. Ironically, it's August 3rd that is the full moon in Aquarius on Monday. With the square to Uranus exactly. That means that not only are we going to have the Sun square Uranus by itself, which is a very intense transit because the Sun in Leo is dignified, it's at its home, it wants to feel happy. Remember, this is about building your castle and your happiness with your personal life with Mercury to figure out, and with your relationship situations that feel very karmic because the North Node's there. And I have discussed many times, but I'll give it to you again, about the Venus retrograde cycle that is every 8 years in Gemini, and how the last one was an eclipse of Venus, and the one before that was an eclipse, so 2012 and 2004, and the weirdness of the energies of those energies with relationships and money and so forth shifting for you. And there's so many patterns that all make sense in a really weird way if you really take a look at it. But now we have entered into a zone that we've never seen before with Venus in the North Node, especially during the time of these rare 8-year retrogrades of Venus and Gemini. So this is complete redoing your whole heart, complete redoing your whole soul here, and trying to understand how to do that. It could be a little hard with the South Node in Sag, right? Because we can be really hopeful and so forth, but I think it's this full moon in Aquarius that's going to square Uranus. And I'll be honest, right? It's like, this is like kind of funny because the mutual reception here of the moon that's going to be full in Aquarius with Uranus squared in Taurus, right? They'd rather swap. Like Uranus would rather be home and the moon would rather be exalted in Taurus. So that's a little harsh because it's like, we are going to have to take spaceships out emotionally of areas that do not make us feel good. And we are also taking spaceships in to the castles and to the places of where we want to go, while Mars squares Jupiter, which forces us to go, in order for me to get what I want in my life, I got to close some door and make a decision in order to open another door. And this is extreme. So I want to just take a second away from the astrology for just one little millisecond here And I want you all to really look at the world for 1 minute. Even though I don't recommend that with South Node and Sag. I don't recommend travel internationally. I don't recommend you thinking that some vacation will save your life far away from you. You're going to have to stay in your local environment. That is what this North Node in Gemini is about. But I do want you to just take 1 second, think about the world as a collective, and then step away from it about all the things that we're talking about in the press and all that stuff, and just go, something crazy big is about to happen that we all have no idea. It's been hidden. We've been getting little trickles out by the media and by the press and by a lot of things. This is a time for us to listen to all of everybody's stories, but actually I shouldn't say stories, but communication of whatever their ideas about things are. It's time for all the ideas to come out on the table, yet there's so much stigma and demonization about people if they have a, well, look at this, or look at that, or look at this, right? It's like, no, like this is the belief, and it must be the belief on everything. You know, that sounds like a pope at a church. That sounds like a preacher that's like, you have to do this, like that's it. And if you don't, you will die, or you don't, you know, you go to this bad place, you know. We need to remove the stigmas this week because we are all adjusting our castle. We are all trying to find our true heart. We are all trying to find the better place in life. We are all trying to also get out of the places that we feel like we've overcalculated, overstayed at in our lives. And we have to realize that with the North Node in Gemini, and with Venus coming here, and with Venus then that will come into Cancer, which is going to go through massive hard aspects, that we all need to be prepared that if we're not putting ourselves this week in the best place, the most electrifying place, the most place of our heart, the place that's going to give us the feelings and the best things in our life that we want to truly connect with, then we're about to enter into, while there's a battle going on of the gods above us that we are going to see as above, so below, with that kind of warmongering energy of Mars getting completely blasted by the biggest transits that I have sat and looked through Julian calendar systems to try and find a Mars retrograde square Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. And I didn't have enough time. I was already 20 minutes in trying to really find something as significant as an event as this, and I didn't find it. And as an astrologer, I can find things, you all know, you watch me forever, I find it in my head in 1 millisecond. But you know what? I've been just sitting and doing research, and I cannot find a battle of the gods this big. I cannot. So I'm just trying to tell you that you have to tap in right now to that whole presence of the world and go, something fucking big's about to happen. And you would need to be prepared. And right now, this is not a time for you to just go, you know what, I'm just trying to get through my life, and I'll just push this to the side because, like I said, the Novocaine is off. And I use Novocaine as an example because it's a numbing agent, of course, when it comes to your teeth. Because when that Novocaine comes off, I don't know if you've ever had a crown put on or a root canal or anything, they numb you up. Even when you go to drink the water, your whole mouth's like bleh, bleh, and you're drooling and all that stuff. That's where you've been when it comes to relationships and when it comes to what you're doing with money and where is money going. And now the Novocaine's coming off. You can almost feel your teeth again. You can almost feel your mouth again. You can almost be like, oh, wow, look at this thing that's in my mouth now, or whatever that taste of, that's what it tastes like. That is what is happening. And you can't numb out anymore. You have to go, and the easiest way to prepare, since it is a North Node Venus, is what makes you feel good. Because whatever this massive event for the rest of this year that we're about to go through, that's so extreme. Because if you thought the first half of 2020 was extreme, there's the lobby, like I keep saying. Now the big show's about to start here. Especially with a big full moon in Aquarius with the sun in Leo square Uranus. You know, it was in 2016 we had a new moon in Leo at 11 degrees. And here, 4 years later, we have a full moon at 11 degrees of Leo in opposition. And one thing about the sun being in Leo at 11 degrees is the Sabian symbol is the garden party. But in opposition to this garden party and squaring this garden party is an energy where you know you have to try something new and different. It can't be the same garden party anymore. And it has to also be emotionally add some new excitement and creation of the most extreme new paradigms in order for you to have it. It just can't be the same old anymore, and you just can't keep numbing out on the same things. It's not going to work. Not going to work. And the good news is Mars in Aries, even though it is about to square Jupiter, is it's about to help you understand that you have to look at your life broader about your identity, about your true needs, about your true wants, and you have to actually be willing to take the courage to do it, because you can feel very deflated right now because you're not taking action about the things that you must. And this is the time to take action with whatever is available that fills you up completely, because not a lot of things are going to start becoming available in our lives. The ability to be around the people we love, the relationships that we really want to be with. I was tripping out. I was in the Leo King Star trailer, literally taking a shower before I did this, and I had the TV on, and it's like on my RV I have a satellite, but why have satellite when I'm not going out in it? So I have, it's like a monthly service. I don't have it on right now. But I use the HD, antenna that comes with the RV. So anyway, I have it on, like Inside Edition was like randomly on, and I'm taking my shower and I just wanted it really loud. So I put it on Inside Edition on loud, and I couldn't believe all these celebrity breakups in the last week. I couldn't believe how, like, even Brad and Angelina, are they getting back together? Like all this kind of crazy stuff. And I'm like, oh, Venus out of shadow. So, it's been a while since, and then they were talking about all these shows coming back on. And I'm like, okay, Venus is ready. She's ready to go put on a show during the craziest time of all times. But you have to also remind yourself that this is a time where you can't push Novocaine on yourself anymore. Can't Novocaine out those things about where your financial situation is. And you can't also put the victim and the blame on anybody or any situation. And I know that might sound crazy under the conditions of the world that we're in right now, but there are many avenues and many ways for you to figure things out. That's the whole test of North Node and Venus. But Rahu is harsh to those that, especially with this Venus aspect, don't have the value, don't have the self-worth, don't have the way to figure it out. And you got to remember, we are in a year of the rat in Chinese. And the only way the rat won the race, it didn't complain that it was the small little rat against all these big animals and dragons and dogs and tigers and, it was the rat. How did the rat win the race? Why is the rat the first sign of the Chinese zodiac? It talked to the ox and said, hey, I know you got all the strength and everything, but I got the smarts. Like, let's figure this out. Let's work together and let's go. And that's why they're both the best friends. So, and they're right next to each other. We always go to rat and then we go to ox. And I want to tell you all that, you know what? Think of yourself right now like, do you have your ox next to you? Is that really the ox, or is that just bullshit ox that you've put, your own painting of it? Was it a white spotted ox, like a cow, and you were just like spray painting it whatever color you wanted? And now, the color's coming off. It's like, putting water-based paint on a car and then driving through the rain and then looking around and all the water's just dripping off of it. It's like a taxi cab. One of my favorite movies, actually, if y'all want to watch, because I like to say that for people that happen to be locked down or sitting around, is Used Cars. And it's like Kurt Russell's one of his first movies. And, that was a movie where first scene, he works at a dealer, but some guy's trying to sell a bunch of taxi cabs that are old, but he took water-based paint, put it over the yellow taxis and used blue primer. And he's like, this is water-based paint. And he goes, so what? This is so cheap, man. Are you cheapening yourself by continuing to put water-based paint on something in your life and keep beautifying it and then it just washes away? I guess if, I do talk to, I think, 87% now ladies as opposed to men, and I don't know, at least my ex-wife or my ex-girlfriend in the past, right? Like, they wear a makeup, so I kind of understand the Sephora game and all that stuff. Not really, though. But I can tell you, like, are you just going to continue using the crappy, like, whatever you put on palettes, right? And, like, it just like, comes off, like, or is it too much of crap where it looks like a clown on your face? Are you just the clown that's not truly in your queen kingdom? Are you not building the castle? Are you not truly, especially with Uranus? This is going to say, Uranus is going to look at the sun, especially Uranus is pretty much stopped, right? We got Uranus that is staying at this 10th degree for a long time. And I just want to prepare people that with Uranus, it's here to turn the sun into any weird direction. And if you really are in this, I am so sure right now of my place in the world and my relationships, yeah, right. And the more that you try to double down on that surety of that water-based paint idea that paint's going to stay is right when the hurricane comes, right when the earthquake comes. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of that stuff this week with Uranus that deals with those things too. With a full moon square Uranus, that's earthquakes. We saw Uranus when it entered into Aries, if you don't remember. The day that it entered into Aries, the second time over, was the Fukushima earthquake. So, this is a lot of pressure on Uranus. Massive. T-square, while Mars is squaring Jupiter. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This is definitely a hurricane and a lightning storm and an earthquake in your life. And while Venus is crossing the North Node, and I'm going to show you tonight, and that's why I think you should be a member of highvibe.tv so you can watch, so I can show you all the physical charts, is I'm going to show you in the helio from the sun's point of view. Guess what? Jupiter and Pluto finally have met this week in helio, and on guess what day? They move apart, and Jupiter has passed Pluto. It's not going to pass Pluto again for another 13 years. That the big show is about to be revealed August 2nd at like 7:30 p.m. Pacific, and then we go into this August 3rd when the Battle of the Gods happens, and then Venus conjuncts Neptune in the helio. Are you all in the illusion? And that's all while Venus and the North Node are conjuncting. So are you going to have the true magical story in your life? Or are you going to buy counterfeit people, counterfeiting your self-worth that, I'm not worthy of being able to manifest and to create the abundance I need to get the reality and change the environment that I need. It's impossible. Are you going to keep playing the victim role? Chiron in Aries retrograde? With the sun trine Chiron this week, we all want to be healed, but why won't you take the healing? There are miracles that can happen, but you have to be willing to close doors. You have to be willing to show up to the miracle fully without anything except you and your heart and your truth and your knowing. And plus with Mercury trine Neptune, which I know is a small transit, but it's big. Your gut knows exactly the place to go, and don't act like it doesn't. You just have to have the courage and have the strength and the emotion to receive what you want by actually taking a trip down the most magical wonderland of your life if you're willing to let go of the counterfeit issues of your self-worth, your relationships, your castle's counterfeit, and everything's counterfeit in your life because you're scared of transformation and change. And how else are we going to ascend to this new dimension? How else are we going to ascend to this different earth we all keep talking about? Can't do it with water-based paint. No, you can't. No water-based paint. But you know what? There's nothing to be scared about right now. The only thing that's scary is that we put ourselves in scarier situations. I forgot to mention that the moon this week is going to hit all that Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter energy, quincunx Venus, and all while we're going to see some of the most craziest transits build up of Mars squaring all that and the moon. And that's why I'm saying tough choices are everything in order to get you in alignment with your destiny. And when I really say you're out of time, this is the week of like, I hate to be the little rabbit in Alice in Wonderland that I'm late, but I am that person. And I am very mercurial, and Mercury's at full speed ahead. And Mercury is coming into Leo this week. So I just want to tell everybody, like, sorry to tell you, you're going to have to really do this stuff, and you're going to have to deal with your personal life issues, and you're going to have to deal with a lot of extremities. But it's almost most extreme if you deny yourself of opportunity, because that's another thing of Mars square Jupiter. Like, are you going to go, my ego wants it this way. I don't want to take the gift, Jupiter. Oh, you don't want it? Okay, warrior, you're too cool, even though I'm offering you an extra sword or I'm offering you some shielding? No, I'm too good for that. No, I'm going to hold on to the way I always fight my battles. Oh, but you still have to go deal with Pluto and you got to go still deal with Saturn? I'm trying to give you a gift, homie. Homie don't want it? Homie don't get nada. So if you're going to be I'm not going to open up to the greatest story of my life, because I think I can fix, especially a full moon in Aquarius, I can fix things. Square Uranus, no, you can't fix it. You can't fix broken things with broken parts, broken tools. A broken tool trying to fix a broken part, and we've all done it in our lives, right? We've all been like, well, yeah, this screwdriver is kind of messed up, and and the screw is like stripped, and the glass is all broken, and I have half a bit of duct tape, and I don't want to go to Home Depot, I don't want to go to Lowe's, and I don't want to get all that new stuff. I can do this myself. It's like, or I don't want to go buy that new thing, or I don't want to go replace it. No, I'm good. I'm gonna fix this thing. But, for some people, they might be like, well, everything's great in my life. This is that check. Are you sure? It's better to ask the question to your ego every day. Are you sure? Are you sure? And then go to your feelings, because of this Mercury in Cancer. Are you, and that feeling is going to be everything. So right now, we're going to go to the charts. Make sure that you join highvibe.tv so you can watch me through the charts, because I want to go through these charts, and I want to also show you I want to take you all through space for a second too. But if you're on YouTube and you don't want to be a member, hey, I get it, and you get the audio. Love you all very much. Let's go deep. All right, so July 29th of 2020. Woo! Oh, look at that. We need to switch that color so we can see something. What color's going to go with this? White, I guess. There we go. So here's that sun here on Wednesday night, 7 degrees. And it's building up into that square to Uranus, which I think, is one of probably the biggest things that we're going to be dealing with here, because this is the sun in our core of our soul and our expression and our light and our true self, almost like afraid of what maybe other people will think, afraid of foreign new energy, afraid of that there is this energy that's allowing us to go to new places. And if we don't accept that in the kingdom of ourself, to find that true happiness, there's going to be problems. And at the same token, here's Mars, right? It's right between Aries, it's right between Chiron. Like, Mars is just not happy as it's slowing down, because watch this, look at the speed of Mars here. Mars is slow, doing only 27 minutes a day on Wednesday. Look at Venus, overtaking the man. Oh, she always does though, she's always faster. But look at Mercury above, fast, woo! Mercury's out of its shadow. And it's doing 1.5 degrees a day. So that means just in 2 days' time, it does 3 degrees. So now when you're at 4 degrees, it's doing 6 degrees. When you're at 6, you're at 9. So that's why I'm saying, like, Mercury here, I do a week, but next Wednesday, it finishes in Leo. It's in the Leo. So, and here's Venus on this Wednesday out of shadow, because remember, Venus went retrograde at 21 degrees. Here it is at 22. And this is important about the relationship stuff, because remember, it was an 8-year transit in May and June of 2012 that we had the last Venus retrograde in Gemini, but that was with the South Node. So it was like, there was plenty of like, sure, it was hard, but it was a little easier. Remember, this is the North Node. So Rahu's not as nice to Venus. Rahu's going to test you and be like, hey, is this the real deal? Like, we almost kind of get deceived by the tricky salesman with the South Node who's selling us watches on the corner in like Manhattan, like pulling out the trench coat. And I would say that you can't do that to yourself anymore. Like, no. Like, it's like you're almost trying to sell yourself, especially Venus and Gemini tries to sell itself too, or its counterpart of your subconscious that, no, this is really good. I'm curious. And especially trying to fix things. This is definitely a week where anything that's broken is going to break hard. Literally, spiritually, physically, relationship-wise, everything. So here we come on Thursday, July the 30th, and we've got Venus here at 23 degrees, and that means it's making a quincunx here to Pluto. Boom! 23, 23. I love the number 23. It's my birthday number. But that's going to bring up more of that truth, and that's exactly when Mercury finally has reached 20 degrees of Cancer, and that means it's an exact opposition to Jupiter. Now, one of the things that I forgot to mention in the beginning, because there is a lot of astrology and everything, and I don't use notes on this show, is Jupiter and Neptune are still in sextile. So Mercury trine Jupiter, or Mercury trine Neptune, opposed Jupiter, Jupiter sextile Neptune. This is a holy moment. A holy moment in your personal life that's happening Thursday. Like, holy cow, okay. I see God, I see. And Venus with the quincunx to Pluto was like, okay, I know what must be changed, and I have to take a choice. And that personal life can only be changed with the choice. That curiosity can only be actually satisfied with the choice. And our guides and our message from God can only be satisfied with us understanding things when we make the emotional understanding, which is in conflict to Jupiter, which means that we have to make a choice that's for our benefit, instead of us looking at it like this is going to be too much. Because Mercury opposed Jupiter can also be like, this is too much, I don't want to deal with it, I just want to go crawl in my hole. That's too big of a choice. But that's where Jupiter is like, you're not going to go and have the adventure of your life. You're not going to see anything if you don't make that hard choice, right? Like if you're just going to sit around. So this is I'm going to say this. This is the big delineation between the two sides of the collective right now. There's going to be those this week that are going to go, I am fully going to not live the life that is not fulfilling me anymore, and I'm ready to make the change, and I'm ready to go in, and I'm ready to be curious and see. And then there's going to be those that are like, no, you know what, I'm going to try and fix things that can't be fixed, and I'm going to just pray and hope that God will fix it for me. Well, I'm just here to tell you that God's handling the world shit. Okay? But when it comes to your personal life stuff, of course God's handling you. But what I'm trying to say, though, is there's handling you, and then there's God offering and opening you a door in your personal life that could actually fulfill you the true way. And whether or not you're going to choose that or not is up to you. God's offering you a gift in your personal life, and if you're worried about the world and you're still posting about every crazy thing happening in the world right now, and that's your only satisfaction, I'm sure it leaves you empty. Like, I'll be honest with you. It's almost like that part of this all is a sign. I'm not saying any of it's fake, and I'm somebody who, I want to hear everything. I'm a North Node Gemini person. And high vibe is all about, like, we are going to, the only thing that is high vibe is information. So the more information, the better. But even if it is not factual and you have to go find the facts, I'd rather ask the question and take it in to understand the truth. That's the only way that the truth is found. But I'll be honest, some of the stuff, right? If that's your only area of life that you're finding fulfillment right now, that shit's going to leave you super empty. And this is a time for you to not continue to hold on to anything in your life that is making you feel empty. And unfortunately, with this Venus transit, it's getting close to the North Node, and it is going to quincunx Pluto, and it is at a moment where you have to start to make these changes. The sun also at 8 degrees, and that means it's just 2 degrees away from Uranus. We're going to start to feel the tension of making radical changes and, you know, the electricity that must be done in order to change things to make us in Taurus feel better. And with Venus and the North Node coming together, and with Uranus being in Taurus, you have to remember that what is the ruler of Taurus? Venus. So the fact that the Venus is in Gemini in Mercury's house, Uranus is in Taurus's house. So, you know, Venus is getting this Uranian betterment. And Mercury is having to understand the truth of a better life for the personal life. When we get to Friday, don't miss Battle of the Gods. It's going to be an awesome live where I'm going to cover this major stuff that goes all the way through till the end of the year, specifically about the battle itself, and give you history and do a Q&A. But here we are on Friday, July 31st, the sun at 9 degrees here. So that's 1 degree away from Uranus. But look at that Venus, still at 23. So Thursday and Friday, Venus, Pluto, 23. Mercury, 22 now, opposing Pluto. So it's off Neptune now. That's how fast Mercury is. I mean, you know Mercury, look at that. Now it's doing 139 a day, 1 degree and 39 seconds. I mean, that is 39 minutes. That is fast. That is some fast Mercury, okay? And this is a zone that Pluto is going to come back to in its retrograde, 22 degrees. So we need to like be prepared here for a lot of things in our life that are going to force us to make changes that we cannot be overloaded with fear. But things are going to show up that look like it's terrifying. That's Mercury opposed Pluto. That looks terrifying. That is a big choice in my life. Or that's, oh my gosh. Is that control? Is it you in so much of a control state that you don't know how to change your personal life anymore? I want to control the outcome of my personal life. Okay. You want to control the outcome of how it will feel about you exiting the situations that you don't want. Instead of, well, maybe if you put all that energy into just, it's not that hard in Capricorn to just write the email and say you're fired, right? Or just tell the person no in life, right? Or I'm sorry, this is where I'm going in my life, and I don't feel that way. People have a hard time with it. Everybody's become very sensitive, and I understand it, and I'm empathetic. But empathy right now for people that you don't want to deal with, Venus especially will get frustrated in Gemini and quincunx to Pluto, and Pluto will be pissed, right? But it's like I'll be honest with you, you'll frustrate yourself even more. This is like extreme repression for people who know they got to make a change, you know, like, am I really, it's like, if you're not really going to do, if I'm not really going to do it, then just don't even why even stay around? Why even play with it? That's like being a little cat playing with the toy, but it's not even into it. Especially since we're in Leo. Why would you go play with the friends that you kind of don't want to play with in life? Why do you think Leos don't do that? Like, I'll be honest with you. I'd be like, oh, you know what? It was great. I'm not, you know, you can be a great, gracious king or a queen and be like, hey, you know, like, nice being around here, but I got other things to do. I do that one a lot. Some people have always taken it like I don't like them or something like that. I'm like, no, I just, you know what? I wasn't feeling the vibe. I wanted to go over here. And especially with Uranus, that's the spaceship that wants to disconnect, but also take us to the higher realms. You either go to the higher realm or you stay in a lower vibe because you're too afraid to face with Mercury opposed Pluto something that scares you. And it's about change, and it's about transformation, and it's about extreme transformation. Good luck with that one, everybody. And this is going to be very difficult because the moon in Capricorn is going to be with that south node pass on Friday. And this moon in Capricorn, of course, is now going to meet up with Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. And it's getting ready to oppose Mercury. It's getting ready for its quincunx to Venus. It's getting ready for its squares to Mars. This moon in Capricorn is not that happy. The sun's dignified. The moon is not happy. So if you look at the points here, if you look at the moon, it's at -5. So this is not an easy emotional time. But look at the sun. Finally! +9. But look at Saturn. Because Saturn has Pluto there, and it's at the end, you know, degrees where it truly rules in the end of the decans, that it's +11. So the only thing in life, and actually give Mars here that +5, but Mars could be higher, but it's with Chiron and it's in squares. The only way through things in life, and look at that Venus, +3. I think it's getting a little bump from being with the North Node. And, but, you know, the only place in life right now is, be it that Sun, that Mars, and that Jupiter. Or sorry, that's Saturn, because Jupiter's at -9. So hope to try and think that something will just happen on its own is just ludicrous. 2, Mercury's at -5 because it's in opposition to Pluto, so it's not willing to look at the truth, right? Especially about your personal life because it's in the moon sign. So if we could just keep it here, Craig. So it's like, this is how I want to teach people astrology, right? Mercury's in the moon sign. Venus is in Mercury sign. Mars is, of course, in Mars sign. Jupiter's in Saturn sign. Not good. Hope? No. Reality check. Saturn's in its own side. Reality check plus, because it's in its dignified position. Mars plus, so your identity, choice, which is decision, I'll move that to D. ID, and then we'll do the sun. Sid. Or, but like the sun and your core, your identification and your desires, and dealing with Saturn to get those desires to achieve what you really want in your life is the only way to look at life right now, especially as we come into this weekend, which is going to be pretty freaking crazy. And it's not even as crazy as the Battle of the Gods that starts next week. Because when we get to August 1st, rabbit, on Saturday, we start to see the sun. It will reach 10 degrees. Here it is at 9:58 at noon Pacific, but it will square Uranus. And so with the moon here being extremely intense, because now you had the moon, you had Jupiter, you had Pluto, you had Saturn, all in the same space. This is a stellium beyond stelliums, and it is starting to square Mars. Here's Mars at 18 degrees, so it's starting to square. It's going to square the moon, it's going to square Mars, and what's Mercury doing? Well, Mercury's there at 23. So it's opposed Pluto still. It's a freak-out fest. It's squaring Mars. And now you have the moon in opposition, so it's the moon and Jupiter, which are two benefics, but they're in the sign they don't like, Capricorn. Moon is detriment and Jupiter's fall. And Mercury's like, I want to feel good. But it's like, okay, I got to make a destructive opening of a door. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, it's like, yes, well, that's the only way. Like, the only way to open doors in Capricorn is you got to have the pass, the ticket. You got to have and that takes like you getting out of bed, that takes you dressing up. Like think of life like Capricorn is like where you have to get out of bed and you have to dress up. There's that moment of getting out of bed and getting all the things done and then getting in the car, but there's something that feels good after you get through all that instead of just waiting in bed all day. Have you ever noticed that? When you go, I think it'd be better just to stay in bed all day. And sometimes we need our rest, don't get me wrong. But 9 times out of 10, it feels better when we just get through it, we get ready, and we accomplish a great day, and at the end of the day, you're like, gosh, I'm so glad I got it. That's Capricorn. And guess what? You got to look at that as a simple analogy to your whole life. Like, you know what? This relationship, me and this job, I'm not making money there. I'm not happy just sitting here doing this. That's not stimulating me. Any of those things is you sitting in a bed and going, I don't want to get out. That looks like too much to get up and take a shower, shave my legs. I don't do that, but you know what I mean? Like, I get all the women, what they do. I'm here to tell you that it feels a lot better to just get up because it's not that hard. But we make it harder when we're in the bed. And everybody is stuck in a bed, and with a sun square Uranus, you want to be on your feet. Why? Because Uranus is the god that rules the skies. And it rules the heavens, the understanding of the heavens. The doorway to the heavens, the stairway to heaven. And are you going to deny yourself an entrance into a heaven in your life because you just want to? It's like God's opening up the pearly gates with St. Peter, but I'm going to just sit in this bed in hell. It's a good way to look at it. And that moon's going to be on Saturday with Jupiter, Pluto. That's a massive change that we must make in order to open a door. And then going to meet up with Saturn coming into Sunday. So it's not going to be easy stuff. People on the second we start August 1st, it definitely ain't no party like a Scorpio party, baby. But it definitely, it's more like the party of, did you get out of bed and did you just stay on your feet and did you open up to the new life that's possible, or are you just going to stay in something where you're going to commit to something that's not that exciting, that fixable or anything? There's extreme benefits during this time, but they are only for those that get up on their feet and also show up. Like I'm going to use a weird analogy, another one, but it's like, I don't know why, and my guy just had to say it, but it's like, when you see in a movie, it's like, it's like a group of people, and they're like, are they coming? And then it's like, I see them coming, and it's like, what happened? It's like, don't worry about it. And it's like, you finally dealt with all of your BS that you almost missed out because you were dealing with the crappy relationship. You were dealing with not wanting to get out of bed because you're not happy because money's tight, but even though that's the meeting that opens you up to it, or whatever it might be, there you are being like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to hurt anybody else either, or hurt my CA. That's not compassion. That's not even, you know what, I'm going to challenge you. Is that compassion to God when God's trying to open up you to your destiny and you're saying, I'm too tired for it? I don't deserve it? People come up with crazy, weird stuff. And this Venus at 24 degrees, right? It's going to be coming off that quincunx. But when we come to Sunday, the moon does come into Aquarius and it does pass Saturn. And that's why I'm saying Saturday night, oh my gosh, don't be surprised if you see really tough times of the tough choice, but a benefit from the tough choice. But some people you got to make sure, and that's where this is kind of hard, because I get the whole making sure thing. But this is a time where there's last minute opportunities and not a lot left. Especially because Jupiter 19, Neptune 20, and Neptune's going to be at 20 for a while. So Jupiter and Neptune will make one more sextile in our year, in our life, in these signs. Especially we'll never see Jupiter sextile Neptune again in its home sign from Jupiter in Capricorn. So it's actually getting some relief from a planet in its home sign. But I'm just telling you that on August 2nd here, that moon comes into Aquarius and it starts the full moon. The sun square Uranus, the moon starting that square, and here's Venus in the North Node getting tighter. So they are about to conjunct. Here's Mercury at 25 degrees. It's ready to start, look at that, opposing Saturn. And don't forget that the galactic center is technically 27 degrees of Sag through this line to 27 of Gem, okay? And so we have a lot of things looking like they're all coming together at that point, especially the North Node and Venus. This is a destined position for you in the galactic center of your life, or are you going against your galactic self? Are you going against your galactic self and going to try and hold on and say, no, my galactic self doesn't deserve this? The Mayans are tripping out behind the scenes. I've seen them. I was on plenty of toad, you know what I mean? Like back in the day, like little mushrooms. I've seen them. They are on the other side of these veils that are in our life, and they are all watching you right now. When you have the galactic center and you have the South Node there, and you have all these things like Saturn at its home sign, quincunx it, Venus approaching it, a full moon in Aquarius, dealing with the two signs, the Aquarius and Leo are the two signs of the electricity and the love and the power of the connection to your happiness and to the world. Like there is no other. They're the two light, the ones that are unique, the sun and Uranus. Uranus is the only planet that sits on its, tilts down 98 degrees, which is the human degree, ironically, of our what everybody's getting temperature checked with. And then you've got the sun, which is a star. So they're the only two that do things their own way. And then you can add Pluto in there, which does its own thing. And then you can have Venus, which makes its Venus star pattern. That's why these are the fixed signs that rule those signs. But I'm here to tell you that this is not something to just kind of go, oh, this is just a full moon in Aquarius square Uranus. No, this is galactic shit. Because when we come to that full moon on Monday, the 3rd, holy moly. So we're going to have it at 11 degrees. And so put that at 11. It's going to be a little earlier than this. It's probably going to be around 9 a.m. Pacific. But here's Mercury exactly opposed Saturn on this full moon. So it's a tough choice with the moon at 11, square Uranus, the sun, it's like this is dealing with Saturn, Uranus energy. And look at Venus at 26, it's quincunxing Saturn. Saturn is in the mix on this full moon. And we already had Saturn in the mix for the last new moon. And so are you going to make these big choices or not? And I'll show you here during this full moon. Look at, like, here's Saturn, plus 10. Here's the sun, plus 8. Lost a point for the opposition to the moon. But, you know, the big news is Mars at 19 is squaring Jupiter. Are you really going to not take the gift from God because your ego's in the way? No. And you know what? It's so easy because you've gotten the chances. You've gotten the opportunities. It's been shown to you by Neptune trine Mercury at the beginning of on Thursday. That's why I'm saying that, like, this week and into the weekend there's not a lot of time. like I've been preparing people for a long time. You know what I mean? But it's like I'm sorry. And I know that you think, oh, I have to, I'll get, like, life is, you know what? If you want to buy, maybe you should just turn off the video right now. If you want to buy the whole thing, that I can manifest whatever I want, like, maybe turn off this video. Because I'm here to tell you no. Factually. Because what we're about to go through with this Mars, when it's in Aries, Mars went retrograde at 11 degrees in 1988, okay? It did not go up here where it's going to go to 28 and complete a whole retrograde in Aries. Mars went back into Pisces, okay, in 1988, okay? So I'm here to tell you that with Mars square Jupiter here, this is not the only Mars square Jupiter in Aries. No. Mars has to go retrograde and come back and square Jupiter in retrograde. And then Mars has to come direct. And Mars is going to be coming direct and and then it's going to have to make squares to Jupiter and Saturn. And I'm going to show you about this whole Battle of the Gods thing. It's going to be crazy. And I'm just trying to prepare you that, like, your ego, and especially because this is a full moon in Aquarius, which is Uranian, right? Which is very weird already, okay? But it's so weird because it is the only glyph as well. If I do this for glyphs, we'll look at Uranus itself. There we go. It is the only glyph, if you see, with this ball that's down here, right? This is opposite. When you, and this is why, and it's so crazy that they use this glyph for it, because it is the one that is turned upside down and looks at things from an understanding, and there is nothing up here, right? Why is there not any other ball or anything like that? It's because in order to get to the higher realms, it's almost like the hangman to me. That you have to consciously understand from as above, so below. And if you don't, then because there is no head or ego in the higher realms. So you hang yourself when you think of the higher realm should look this way down here, when really no, erase that and let it all flow. Why do you think that when you look at the glyph of Pisces, which is not a planet, it's a sign, a zodiac sign, that there is no ball? We're just using that, right? Because this is the duality of the reality, that as above, so below, but it also looks perpendicular in all directions. So does Uranus, but that you have to completely be separated to have soul from ego and identity. That this is people's ego's issues of wounds and too afraid to deal with the truth and open up better doors in their life and trying to fix things that they can't fix and trying to, like, fix an old kingdom. You're a queen or a king coming into a castle and being like, I'm going to try and make it over the way it was again. In this duct tape world, you can't get everything anymore. Not all the same supplies are around. Amazon drivers are just bailing on the job and just being like, I'm done. I really go try and fix some old kingdom right now? You got to go to where's new. You got to go with the people. This also deals with people. If you're going to be around the wrong people in your life for your kingdom, of your heart, with Uranus square it and the moon oppose it, oh God, you're gonna be like a besieged king or queen, or a magnificent one, because everybody prospers when you're all around the tribe that really is your true tribe, your true energy that is of your same vibration of your heart, your same vibration of your values. And don't fuck up your values by trying to be cool to people when it has nothing to do with what your values even entail. That's peer pressure. And there's more peer pressure going on the planet right now. And I bet you on this day, when the battle of the gods start, that there will be massive peer pressure on people. That you must do this, or you must, and if you don't do that and you don't do that, there's going to be major events that come through all this that this week are going to blow your mind. And especially because after this full moon and this, we are seeing, look at this, Venus at 27 after the full moon. Oh my gosh. That's quincunx Saturn exactly. And we're with it with the North Node within a degree. And the sun's off at 12, but look at that Mercury. 29 Cancer. Oh, Mercury's coming into Leo late that night. And it'll be like, oh God. Because one thing is, Mercury is not that smart in Cancer, especially if it's allowing the emotion to rule the mind. It's like, just think logically. It's North Node and it's got Venus. What's going to make you feel good? And if it doesn't make you feel good, don't get emotional about it. Be like, that means I don't feel good. So why would I still try to figure it out? That's going to be still with Mars square Jupiter. And I know that some people are going to try and say, well, that's over optimism and taking on something or jumping when maybe you should look more cautiously. Really? With Venus in the North Node, with the Sun in Leo, square Uranus and all that, it's almost like if you don't make a shift in your life, you're crazy. You don't make a shift to a better life, you're crazy. You can look at a square either way you want to. But Jupiter, I'm sorry, is in retrograde and it is in Capricorn with Pluto and with Saturn. It is not offering a cautious time. It is offering you something to help you through the battle of the gods. Like whether that is a new job, whether that is a new relationship, whether that is, there is no fix for things. And I think people are going to totally just, anything that's really broken, it will not be fixed. Or anything that is so not connected cannot be connected. Like it's like trying to take like a American plug and go to Europe with it and start plugging it in there. Like, yes, I know, I swear I can get power. I'm sorry, you need the converter, and there's no converters. Because when we come to Wednesday, that sun, 13 now, with Mercury and Leo, woo! Oh man, we could really have a really fun life, but it's with Venus in the North Node conjunct, and this is it. It's at the Galactic. And that's Venus opposed the Galactic Center too at 27 the day before. But yeah, that's extreme. And when you mix to this, that we are going to see Mars at 20. So we're done with the square to Jupiter. Now it's on its way to its squares to Pluto. And we have the moon in Pisces. And that's where I think some of this weird sensitivity is going to come around. Because it's like, at least it's got the Uranus sextile to be like, did we let our soul go to the better place or not? We can feel really lost if we didn't, especially with Jupiter like, bye Mars, see you again. And when you come retrograde, and that's not normal. And with Mars in its home sign, it's like, I tried to offer you, it might have been and that's the whole thing about being Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn. It might be you might have, it's like if you have a piece of broccoli in your mouth and somebody offers you a toothpick and you're like, no, I'll get it with my tongue. Nope. Now you're going to have to put your finger in your mouth and now you just got CV. That's the analogy I'm trying to show you. It's like, here's God going, are you sure I got you this? And you're like, no, I'm going to keep trying to fix it myself. And you don't know the repercussions of that till Wednesday with Mercury and Leo and with the Venus on the North Node, like the dragon's mouth on Venus, the goddess. Whether that's going to be positive or negative is up to you and the choices that you make this week when it comes to these things. Now, on August 2nd, I thought I'd show you guys all that helio, like I said. And on August 2nd, we'll change color here. So August 2nd, 2020 at 7:57 p.m., woo! Jupiter and Pluto have finally conjuncted. So that means this whole week as we're talking, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then finally Sunday, Jupiter finally is passed on Saturday over Pluto, which means that this is going to, because in Helio, this will not happen again for 13 years, and it won't happen in our lives again. Remember that Pluto and Jupiter will not meet here for at least, gosh darn, 248 years at least. So this is a once in a multi-century alignment that is happening galactically from the sun's point of view. Well, solar system-wise. And Saturn now is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, the last degree of Capricorn. So if you don't realize that we are entering into the battle of the gods with Saturn at its last stand here, at its end of Capricorn in Helio, from the sun's point of view, where it's home. It doesn't come backwards. And you got Jupiter that just conjuncted Pluto of massive doors to open for you in your life that will not happen again in centuries of destiny. And you go into August 3rd, and I'll be honest with you, you go into August 3rd and that full moon, and you're still trying to fix broken crap, it's going to be shitty. And that's why I use Helio, because what else is there? Venus conjunct Neptune exact. I went deeply into, when I do these Helio charts, from the things I learned from Michael Erlewine, and especially when you get dead conjunctions in a Helio chart, they are extremely rare. Extremely rare. Especially because there's no retrogrades and the planets are moving at their full speed, right? Like Mercury's like a little dog. Look at Mercury. It's on Taurus. Like right now, Mercury's in Cancer going to Leo, you thought, right? No, and from the sun's point of view, it's in Taurus, but it is jumping 3 to 4 degrees a day because 88 days around the sun. But to see Jupiter and Pluto meet, right? That's a 248-year cycle with a 12-year cycle. Sure, they meet every 13 years, but in Capricorn here, you have to realize it's not every 13 years. And this is a once in a, and already, let's be honest, 13 years is a long time for Jupiter and Pluto to meet. So that means on the Earth, we've seen it twice from our view, but that means actually from the sun, it's finally seen it. So that sets the truth of a massive door of whether or not you're going to close one and open one, or you are going to accept a pretty shitty doorway that you don't even really like. And Saturn there is like, I want the best to get to where I need to go with my destiny, and are you going to miss out on that shit? And are you going to be numbed out with Venus and Neptune? I'm just going to be so compassionate and keep this door even though it's that crappy. I know it'll turn good one day. And then Venus comes on to Neptune and then goes, oh wait, there's no more Novocaine. I thought I was going to have Novocaine through the rest of my life with this situation. Oh no, just for this moment. You made the decision while you were on Novocaine? You made the decision while you were drunk? You made the decision while you think you could just keep fantasizing like, oh, I'll just keep going here, or I'll keep just doing that, or I'll just keep trying this. There's no solution except for a complete radical change. And when you also mix, and this is where this is crazy, and I learned this from Michael Erlewine, let's take right here, let's take Sag to Gemini and let's cut it in half, okay? All the planets are on this 180 degrees. There is not one planet, you can't, Juno, that's not a planet. All the planets, so this would be a multi-relational chart. We are in a multi-relational time, not meaning polygamy or anything like that, just meaning like everybody is scanning through people like, what the hell, who is the people in my life, and da 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 da. And if you're trying to lie to yourself and say you ain't doing that, then stop, you know what, have a nice life, lying to yourself. Have a great life lying to yourself. And there's doorways that are going to open that up. And if you're just going to sit around and just play the whole, everything's still the same, every day's, just go play 9 Inch Nails, every day is exactly the same. Just go play that for the rest of your life. And really think that it's going to stay that way? It's not. And, you know, Mercury is trine Saturn too. Your destiny point is about the best quality of things in life. So the last thing I was going to do here is, I was going to do the, what is it? Yeah, Cosmic Watch. Really? Oh, here we are. I want to show you from Earth's point of view, or Sun's point of view, but actually from just the point of view from what we're seeing here. So, number one, if you look at the sun, right? Like if we're looking, this is the sun. Look at all the planets, right? Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, Earth, Moon. Look at Mercury's even with Uranus right there, right? And look at Venus and look at Mars and everything's there. When you go look out on the other side of the sun, nada. Nothing. It's a barren ground. Barren. Look at that's Leo right there. There's Cancer. So, look, what I'm trying to show you is that the reason why the sun's in Leo is because from Earth's point of view, right? Like you see Leo up there. Of course, we use tropical astrology, so it's 23.5 degrees back. But I'm just trying to show you all of how it works. Now, what's crazy is you can see Mars up in the night, and here's Venus. You can see it in the morning. But these two are not about to get along, right, as Venus gets ready to come into Cancer. And so when we go through this week, July, I got to do this in the settings right here. Enabled. And we'll show the comments, and we'll show the spacecraft, we'll show the constellation, we'll show the stars. We'll show that, we'll show the constellation names, we'll show the distant. No, we want to do ecliptic and galactic. And we'll do the stars. There we go. Okay. So, what I want to show you all is what we're about to go through this week, especially on this full moon and the Battle of the Gods it's building. And this, I'm going to do a lot of Battle of the Gods stuff using this. But here's August 3rd, right? The full moon. So, see that moon? Wow. That's pretty, I got pretty damn exact. 1:40 a.m. my time. Like, if I move it just a hair. All right, there we go. That's exact. So there's that full moon, right? Now what's on the other side of that? Nothing. But it's Uranus that's in squares. So why is it Uranus that's in square? Well, look at, if I back this out, and if I were to get this at the right angle, see that? See that Uranus, if I could, I can't, but see how Uranus is? It comes in as a line through, and that creates a square point from the moon, from our, look, if you look. But what's ironic is Venus is right there. This is about relationships, people. Look at Uranus and Venus exactly in a line. That's what a with Venus at 28 and with Uranus at 10, that means we are coming into a Uranus-Venus semi-square then when Venus hits 25 degrees, which is going to be in quincunx to everything because that'll be 45. So this is going to be hard because it might be hard to make a decision. But you got to, because after this is why I'm taking you all to Battle of the Gods, because there's the Earth and here's the Earth going to be as close as it can to Mars as we come into October, right? And it's going to be in all bad aspects. Look at the alignment there of Mars with Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, and Earth. Ooh, that's what we call Battle of the Gods, right? They're all in alignment. And these are big planets. They're not, well, I lost it, but that's what I'm just trying to show you all. And I know that it's difficult, but you don't want to waste it. You've been given plenty of time to see where you're empty. All of 2019, Saturn in the South Node in Capricorn. A Venus retrograde that had eclipses and everything in 2004 and 2012, and then this one in 2020 was activating. Did you learn? And if you talk about a new Earth, you want to talk about a new dimension, you want to talk about it, this is for people that The choices that you make right now in your life determine that Earth. And the war of Mars energy is about to be activated on August 3rd, with it squaring Jupiter, with it being in a hard spot, with it about to go through hell. So preparations are more than food, water, and making sure you have radios. It's about, do you have the right people? Do you have the right ability to get the money, the tools, and the stuff that you need in your life? Or are you just going to stay in bed asleep and keep watching it all just float away? I love you all very much. I'm sending you my best energy. Remember, you got to find the happiness within you and the true happiness. And to be a Leo and to have Mars and Aries right now and to have those dignified energies and Saturn and Capricorn. We haven't seen this since 2018, where you had to make these tough choices at this time, which we did have a lunar eclipse in Aquarius. So July, and it was July 27th of 2018. We haven't seen anything like this, and it was square Uranus. And it had Mars that was retrograde. This, at least, Mars is not, but it is square Jupiter. So there's a little bit of simulations, or it could be the fix or repair by making the difficult choices that you think are difficult, but they're not, by stepping into your destiny to repair past shit that isn't about going back and reliving the past. It's about completely a new story that is trying to be told through the curiosity and whether or not you're truly going to see the path and see what God is offering you and accepting it or not. And this battle of the gods is going to be one that is going to be as above, so below. And I am going to prepare you on Friday. So make sure you go to highvibe.tv. I appreciate all your support. Thanks for all the support for all the shows that we do, of course, here on YouTube, but especially on highvibe.tv. And we'll see you for Full Disclosure tomorrow. If you're a member, of course, you get that too with Craig and I. And we'll be, of course, doing Q&As and so forth. And there's a special email that everybody on High Vibe has. And there's so much more. Thanks so much. And I will see you all, hopefully, on the other side at that meeting place that I just used earlier in the show, if you watch the whole thing. And that you're not one of the people that were like, did they show up? Peace.